Self-Informed with your hosts, Brian and Dimitri. Today we're speaking with two fabulous guests, June, a.k.a. Shoe0nHead, and Greg, a.k.a. Armoured Skeptic. Both are widely popular YouTube personalities, powerful voices in the cultural, political landscape, and, by our estimation, hilarious entertainers and overall fantastic people. Welcome, June and Greg.
Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Totally agreed. We're thrilled to have you on the show. Dimitri and I are big fans of your work. We tend to align very closely with your guys' worldview. Your videos are just plain awesome. Entertainment, like when you pick apart some of the more obnoxious ideas of our contemporary culture, let's say. And so since we just met you, I just want to tell you a little bit about Mythicist Milwaukee. And really what our organization boils down to is free inquiry. It's very heterogeneous. There's not a ton of agreement on everything, but everyone's kind of agreed on free inquiry shouldn't, know any boundaries. And we believe that debating in 2017 is actually still possible, although when I look at my Facebook feed, I wonder. So at MM, we like to refer it as disagreeing sanely.
Trademark pending.
Trademark pending.
Yeah. So we are super excited that both of you are going to be here in Milwaukee on September 30th, speaking at MythCon. It's going to be a crazy fun event. Yet another effort at promoting dialogue, getting a bunch of rational people in one spot, debating, basically radiating awesomeness. And we honestly have an all-star speaking lineup. Besides you guys, Melissa Chen, Sargon of Akkad, Matt Dillahunty, Thomas Smith, a debate with Faisal Al-Mutar and Azra Nomani, a whole host of thought leaders. You guys are going to rock it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And the cherry on top is our original movie called Batman and Jesus, with our eminent young director and soon to be the next Spielberg, Joseph K. Richards. And we're going to be premiering that at the MythCon for more about that later.
Yeah. So, Greg and June, here's why we think you're so important and awesome. College campuses these days, they're a little bubble-like in nature. They kind of silence dissenting opinion, so much so that the only real cultural debates in society are being held online on channels like both of yours. Would you say that's kind of what you experience?
I wouldn't say that we have a monopoly on it, but it seems that this type of debate has a much stronger home online and on YouTube and on Twitter and Facebook than it does on campuses or in public forums. There's a certain freedom that some people have, and I mean some people take that freedom too far, like the trolls, if you will. But that's kind of one downside to having a sort of a free forum where these sort of debates can take place.
I get messages almost every day from kids who are in college, and they're telling me, like, oh my God, I'm surrounded by all of this stuff. Like, I can't speak my mind. It's all biased. And I see your channel and people's channels like that, and I'm like, oh my God, finally, like, I can hear a different opinion. And it feels like a lot of it's coming from the college campuses, definitely, like academia and stuff. And back in the day, like 2013, I would place the blame on like Tumblr, and I'd be like, oh yeah, all this is coming from Tumblr, guys. Like that's where all this craziness is coming. But really, like colleges, they're pushing this one side, and that's why a lot of the stuff speaking out against that one narrative became sort of popular on the internet, is because people can't see that side anywhere else. Like the media, the mainstream media is just like talking about one side, so it's like it's refreshing to people to see something else and have like these open debates with people. It is really amazing. It's been a crazy journey just from like getting on there to speak my mind, like, hey, this stuff is insane, to people being like, hey, you're right, I feel the same way. Like I never knew that would happen, and it's like it's awesome. I love the online debate, the whole atmosphere. Even the trolls. I love the trolls. I love everything about it.
Well, when you talk to them, are these kids, are they like conservative and then they feel a kinship with you, or is it they're just kind of like, they don't have a spot?
Yeah, most of them are like a term that I've been seeing a lot is like disgruntled liberals.
Yeah, I would say that the vast majority of both of our fan bases are on the liberal side of the spectrum. But I think that, yeah, it tends to be the thing that binds us all together is that, I don't know, yeah, they seem to have more libertarian mindset, as in more freedom-based, less government, less control kind of mindsets. And there's a lot of different opinions that exist within this realm. It's kind of like a bullpen, where a bunch of ideas come to be stoked under the fires, and the ones that are good survive. And there's people all across the spectrum. We have feminists and anti-feminist friends. We have conservative and liberal friends, and there's a lot of overlap in the things that we're interested in and the things we agree on, and but those don't tend to be the things we debate about the most.
No, like my comment sections are full of conservatives, liberals, all types of people just talking together, debating things. They don't always agree, and sometimes they do agree, and they're surprised on the things that they agree about, and it's neat to see. And yeah, the college kids, it's a mix. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, I consider myself liberal and an egalitarian, but, all this feminist stuff, it doesn't seem very egalitarian anymore. And they're kind of, like, disappointed, and they don't know how to, like, speak about it without getting, like, ostracized by their, like, friends and
Yeah,
teachers.
I just got an email the other day from somebody who said that he's just started his first year, or had just finished, I guess, his first year of university, and that he feels like it's going to get worse. He feels like he can't express himself and he can't be honest about his opinions of things, and he's not even a conservative.
Jeez.
Yeah. I've heard stories too, like I think it was at Princeton specifically, and like in Culet magazine, where on freshman orientation, they had everybody that says if you identify as white, stand up. And if you identify as Asian or black, stand up. Almost just like, wow, why would you want to separate the groups? Why wouldn't you just say, we are all freshmen at Princeton? Yep. This is, to me, that just would seem bizarre if that would happen back when I went to college.
Freaking nuts. And it's not just, I mean, this is just the U.S. I'm telling you, like my friends specifically, so by the way, you may not know this about me, so I immigrated from Russia here when I was little, but I have friends who just would come here, when they were already adults, and they never had this like antagonism toward black people or minorities, or they didn't really, not that they didn't see color, but it was just not a big deal. And frankly, there's not that many black people in Russia, so it was just kind of a uniqueness. And here they're like, dude, you guys are so divided. It's all about race, everything. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely insane.
I've heard Sargon say that too. Coming from Britain, that race is kind of somewhat unique to America. So, and June, you mentioned that you weren't seeking out specifically like social justice to pick on, but rather you say you would find videos that you call cringe and then critique them, and then that just a lot of them happen to be in the social justice arena. Am I correct?
Yeah, like, well, I started out doing this because, I just saw, like, the whole feminist takeover since, like, 2012. All of a sudden, like, it felt out of nowhere that this, like, huge narrative was being pushed. And all my friends, like, on Facebook, they, all would say things like, oh, like, men can't get raped. Like, all these different bizarre talking points started shooting up, and I felt like I was like going crazy, and so I wanted to upload a video onto Facebook ranting about it, and I was like, I don't care if I lose friends, I'm just gonna do it. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna upload it on YouTube, and then from YouTube I'm just gonna paste the link onto Facebook. And what happened was people found that YouTube video, and then it just blew up, and then I found other people who talk about, like, feminism. And then the more I looked into all of this, I noticed it was even worse than I thought it was. And it was a huge deal. And I didn't know. I was just like annoyed at feminism in the beginning. I was like, what is this? Like, why? I thought this movement wasn't necessary anymore. And then it was like, I just dived down the rabbit hole, like, face first. And so I got really into it. And, like, I just found all these crazy videos of people talking about this stuff. And I was like, you know, this is actually very fun to respond to and debunk. And my original videos weren't responding or showing videos. They were just me ranting. And I kind of like that style more. But it's really fun to respond to videos because the clash of personality, I think, is entertaining.
No, I agree.
And yeah, you can like bounce off humor from the other person. So I find that fun to do, like bounce off humor from their ideas and stuff like that, and be faux outraged. And people find that pretty entertaining.
Well, your anti-social warrior stance, I mean, that's kind of put you on the map, which is awesome. And we find in society a lot of times role models tend to be gendered. So it's tough for males to look up to females and vice versa. But, I mean, I'm sure there's folks out there. Both of you have an unbelievable amount of followers. I'm sure there's a cross-section there of opposite-gendered people who really look up to you.
Oh, yeah, like when we went to VidCon, there was like young kids, like boys, be like, oh my god, you're like so awesome, you inspired me to make a YouTube channel. And it's like really adorable, and it's really cool.
You guys got asked for autographs too, and you were shocked by that. Like, that's
that
awesome.
Was weird.
Yeah,
that was
we said as a joke that would happen, and it actually happened. It was a little weird.
It was funny. But yeah, that was crazy. And I jokingly like, oh, I have to work on my signature because I forgot how to write with my hand, which is true. I literally forgot how to write with my hand because all I do is type. And so my signature was so different on everyone's autograph. I'm like, I'm really sorry that it's so sloppy. You can't even.
Well,
like,
that's
read
better
it.
than just making a bunch of X's.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I did.
So you get to VidCon, and you mentioned like you go to the IHOP, and you Sargon apparently comes in with like a big entourage. I want to know how how ContraPoints was. He's one of the social justice warriors, and I hate labels like you guys too, but I'm kind of forced to use it. What was he like, and what about some of these other guys? What did you find interesting? Was there someone that totally was different from their channel, or what? Give us some cool details.
Insider info.
Yeah.
So our lunch with ContraPoints. That was a different incident than the IHOP, but we ended up meeting up with a few different you could call social justice warrior types. They're people that we're just friends with online or friendly with online, and we just wanted to meet. ContraPoints was one of them. Lindsay Ellis, formerly known as the Nostalgia Chick, was there. A guy that calls himself H-Bomber Guy. Another person that was pretty infamous back during the Gamergate days, Dan Olson. And it was I would say pretty productive because we didn't so much debate with each other, but we kind of just tried to lay our swords on the table and sort of just explain our positions to each other in a non-controversial way. And we ended up bonding a lot more than we thought we would.
There was definitely some light debate though going around the table.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I'm not that. Oh yeah. I mean, I got Lindsay and ContraPoints mad at me a couple times.
Yeah,
for sure. But
Dan Olson was mad at me when I was like, if Bernie didn't drop out, he'd probably win. And then Dan Olson was like,
yeah.
No. I was like, oh my god. Okay, but that was funny. Like there was definitely like debates like that, but no like weird tension or anything like that. But meeting them was cool. ContraPoints was shy. So am I, though. So that was fine. And, me and H-Bomber Guy have gotten into little, fights on the internet, but we talked about that. And
yeah, to be honest, that he was my example of somebody that I kind of changed my mind about. Is I would have considered him a dick, but now I actually think he's a pretty cool guy. He kind of actually does exactly what we do. He overemphasizes his outrage and he hams it up for entertainment purposes, and he is one of the more successful people on that side who makes videos in that subject matter, and I would definitely see why.
Yeah, it's because ContraPoints and him are entertaining,
yeah,
while the other
too.
ones are
yeah, ContraPoints too. He manages to consistently make me laugh in every single one of his videos.
I agree. Yeah,
a lot of the social justice channels, not all, but a lot of them are preachy. They're boring. This sounds really mean, but they're preachy, boring, and on YouTube,
condescending.
You're not gonna attract people. That doesn't have to obviously be your goal. That wasn't my goal. My goal was just ranting or whatever. But they're like always like, oh, we're so not popular because of that. But then you look at like anti-SJW channels, and a lot of them are more entertainment focused, which is why a lot of them are a little more popular because it's YouTube. And sometimes they like unfairly be like, oh, you guys are the mainstream opinion because you're popular on YouTube. And it's like, no. No.
Well, I mean, they could rant against rants. I've seen that be popular. I can't remember what that dude's name is, but when Tomi Lahren was on TV or where she had a channel, there was a guy who would specifically make videos in response to her videos, and he was also kind of sarcastic and pissed, and he had a pretty big popularity too. Wow.
Yeah, people like the over-exaggerated outrage stuff.
If it's funny, it's good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, another person I met with was Francesca Ramsey, and she and I have been talking for a little while, kind of, I guess, trying to figure out how to do some sort of maybe informal debate or something. We don't know, but
Francesca Ramsey's the MTV lady.
Yes, yeah, she's corporate though. She works for MTV, and she's got a TV show coming up on Comedy Central, and she's like a legitimate entertainer. It's a little bit difficult for her to just like jump on my channel and be like, hey guys, this is what I think. So I give her a little bit of leeway in that sense. And I think that somebody like her, specifically in the anti-SJW side, she's certainly demonized a lot. And I'm not saying that it's all completely illegitimate. I mean, I even have gripes against her, and she does kind of what June was saying. She's a little bit more preachy and saying like, this is the right way to do things, guys, that's not conductive to entertainment, and it's not really it doesn't really work well for actually convincing people to change the way that they behave.
Yeah, when you talk to them like children.
And I mean, the thing is, though, I'm not talking behind her back or anything. Like, I've literally said this to her. Like at VidCon, she spoke. And I said, there were a few things that you said in your panel that people did not respond well to, and I listed those things, and it was the same sort of stuff. But the thing is that that's just her style, and she's fine with it. So, I mean, if you can get past that, you'll find that she says things that you agree with more often than you realize. But the overall, yeah, that seems to be kind of a theme with the social justice side or the feminist side is. There is a lot of talking down to. There's a lot of preaching. There's a lot of dictating the right way to live your life. And just in general, people don't respond well to that kind of communication.
Yeah, but just VidCon kind of proved like these debate type things could happen even offline. So like online they happen all the time, but meeting in person and actually having talks like this is productive as well.
Well, yeah, if you're at
Probably more
a
productive.
Denny's eating
Well, you mentioned
eating an omelet.
Or someone mentioned, and I'm kind of mixing up all the channels, that when you know somebody, it's easier to kind of pick on them without offending them. Right, you two can pick on each other, right? You know each other, and Dimitri and I, right? We can do that. But if you don't know ContraPoints, and now I'm critiquing him, right away you might get offended. So I think you can meet like a Francesca Ramsey, absolutely like her, disagree with all of her views, but still think she's an okay person. Somebody, Andy Worski on his channel, said somebody came up to him, this girl, and said, "Oh my God, I disagree with everything you say, but I think you're a really cool guy." And so I think that's okay. You don't have to compromise what you believe to say, there's a difference between I disagree with that person and that person is evil.
Yeah, that seemed to be a mentality that's been around for a little while. I remember back in the Atheism Plus days, this was not something that was universal across the board, but it seemed to be somewhat prevalent where just the idea of being disagreed with was treated as an attack against their person. And I mean, we see that a lot in our debates, and it's kind of hard because, like June said, we do reply videos sometimes. I do almost exclusively reply videos, and it can come across as hostile. I recognize that I can come across as hostile, and the same thing goes the other way. But I feel like on both sides of the debate, perhaps we need to stop taking disagreement so personally and stop kind of digging into sides based on what our opinion is, and be more honest with each other about our disagreements and find more that we have in common with each other too.
Well, like when we went to brunch with the social justice people, I don't even know what to call them, the progressives.
Regressives.
Yes, the regressives. When we went to brunch with them, like we all understood that, you know, you can be friendly and get along with people as people, but still disagree with their beliefs and stuff like that. But a lot of people who follow them were freaking out, saying that we're Nazis, saying that we're racist, saying that they shouldn't hang out with us. They were like disowning ContraPoints and Lindsay, and it was like the tribalism is insane.
What, they were
and
outside the diner or with you guys?
I think online. We're saying
online,
this, right?
Online.
Yeah, this happened. We took a group photo and we all shared it. And when ContraPoint shared it, his audience was very upset about it.
And then like my audience was like, "This is so cute! Like, oh, building bridges, isn't this nice?" And
we saw a little bit of the same thing though.
Yeah, I mean, there was one person who was like, "I would never sit with these cultural Marxists."
Yeah, I saw.
Like, whoa.
I saw a couple negative comments. One really ridiculous one,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was undeniably a bigger issue on their side. There was definitely more of a tribalist reaction to that photo on their side, and that actually made me feel really, really bad for them.
I felt bad for them.
It's basically
I apologized for having lunch with them. I'm like, I'm sorry that we had lunch together, and your audience hates you now.
Well, it almost seems, I mean, social justice has kind of become a religion. It's like privilege is original sin, and you know they don't mention other types of privilege that are out there. American versus Canadian, parental privilege, socioeconomic privilege, dominant culture privilege. It's just whiteness
or maleness or cis-het.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is kind of the way that postmodernism has broken down the way that we're all identified and broken up now in society.
They're like making modern segregation. It's ridiculous. They're even like they want like they're basically going back like to like the separate classrooms and stuff, but this time it's based on
separate
privilege.
but equal.
Yeah, you can have there's black only dorms on some college campuses, which is just odd. I think.
Yeah, and they sell that as a safe space thing, and I'm sure in their heads that makes sense. But I mean, like,
it's the
step
same
back,
thing rebranded.
Step back for 2 seconds, and you'll realize that your motive may be different, but it has created the exact same outcome that we struggled and fought to overcome years ago.
Yeah.
Well, how do you teach history and segregation, separate versus equal, and how they went through so much hell to do that integration movement, and then still we come back to, 2017, let's just separate everyone based on color.
Well, to use a metaphor here, if you will, or a simile, it's more like they've fought to get out of the back of the bus, and it's like they want to sit in the front of the bus now, and they want the front of the bus themselves. And I'm not. That's an oversimplification, but what it is those oppressed people from the past are still seen as universally oppressed today, and they're treated as if they should be put in front of the rest of us because of that handicap, and that's a handicap that has to be factored into their identity and into every factor of their lives.
But the way they put privilege, I mean, it's a lot of it's messaging. If they would, and Melissa Chen posted this, they said if you would call it an unfair disadvantage to certain segment of people, and as opposed to privilege, because privilege means something like you just had it easy. When certain people, like, you know, if you're white and you grew up in a West Virginia trailer park, I'm sorry, you don't have privilege.
Well, Brian, you made a good comment. What if you're good at math? Was that a privilege?
Yeah.
You're born with that.
Or you worked hard to get at it. So if it seems like messaging, if I think a lot of people would agree if they said there's certain people, maybe, you know, in all races and all genders, and certain people have unfair disadvantage. And if privilege is this invisible knapsack, as it's been told, why not, instead of taking the knapsacks away from everyone, why don't we just give everyone a knapsack if 10% of the people are missing it?
Yeah, there's that there's that old joke. A progressive is somebody who'd see a staircase and would add a wheelchair ramp so that people in a wheelchair can get up the staircase. A regressive is somebody that would get rid of the stairs and make it so everybody has to go up the ramp.
I love that.
And so the thing is, though, I mean, I said they want to go from the back of the bus to the front of the bus. I don't mean like it's literally the oppressed people. The thing is that the people who have been labeled as oppressed are basically like pawns. They're like chess pieces, and they're being used to push political agendas. So the people who actually created this oppressor narrative are not actually the people that are in the oppressed class, and they speak on their behalf, and they tell these people, hey, you're oppressed. You were born oppressed. You now need to be pushed to the front of the line.
I don't even think it's a political thing. I think it's a selfish thing. Like,
well, I'm sure there's, I mean, there is kind of, I mean, an individual aspect. It's not like, it's sort of a religious movement. I mean, not exactly, but in the same way as a religious movement, there's like an overall sort of push from the entire group. And then you're right. Then there's individuals who just want self-gratification.
And a certain amount of piety is required, right? Or you're going to get kicked out.
Dude, it's terrible. The crossover that I make, or the analogy is like with Mother Teresa. So people fawn over Mother Teresa all the time, but her, the opposing viewpoint is that she got off so much on the fact that these people were poor and pushing her views on them, that she was not, there's schools of thought that she was not a good person. She was a really
bad... look at Christopher Hitchens. He did this amazing documentary piece on her where he basically showed that her hospital that she created was not a hospital, it was a torture chamber.
Yep.
And they had concrete floors, and they just, when somebody was dying, instead of giving them medicine, they'd put them in this room with a concrete floor and no lights, no paint on the walls or anything, and just to leave them to die in that room by themselves. Yeah. And I don't see how you could see that in any way as charitable.
Well, they were glorifying suffering, and the same here. The social justice movement is glorifying the fact that someone's different, and that other people have to now feel bad about that. It's so backwards.
There are so many connections with like feminism, social justice, and religion. It's almost like a meme at this point. It's very easy to connect them and see the similarities. One video me and Skeptic did together, it was really funny.
Skeptic and I.
We were just like kind of making fun of all these articles that are like telling men how to be a good feminist ally and a good feminist boyfriend, and one of the things
please tell us.
Yeah, one of the articles was like, approach your boyfriend in the way that you would approach someone when you're trying to talk to them about your religion.
What?
Right, that did
like
say
they were making the connection between feminism and religion. It was hilarious.
How? How do you approach someone?
Like if you were going to ask your boyfriend, like, maybe we should go to church.
Yeah, they were like, maybe you should be a feminist, like, and they were like, so treat it as if it's a religion.
Yeah, so what does that mean? You show up at their door one day in a white shirt
I would like to
and
talk
say,
to
do you have a moment to talk about the patriarchy?
Come inside, I've got coffee.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and the patriarchy is invisible. Like God. Where
devil.
Is it? Is it in the earth?
More like
is it beyond space and time?
It's kind of like a nega Christianity, more like a Gnosticism, where it's like the devil is the God that they worship, and they worship him in fear and in loathing. So it's the patriarchy is the devil, and the patriarchy is what controls everything. And it's like they're trying to escape the oppression of the God, which is again like more like the Gnostic view on things.
And it's like, why can't women, earn more? And it's like, well, they can, they just need to work harder at their jobs or get better careers, like it's old choice, blah blah blah. And they're like, no, it's because the patriarchy.
Right. So you've got the feminist or postmodernist kind of lens of no objective truth. So they've got this this lens. Like Lacey Green used to describe it this way in her feminist videos. She'd say that it's a lens that you look at the world through. So it's kind of like their red pill. Once you introduce the patriarchy and you describe the way the patriarchy controls things, they start to see the world only in those terms, and they lose all objectivity.
In one of my videos, I literally put on sunglasses, and they're like the feminist lens, and then I see the patriarchy, and the patriarchy is like a physical, like weird monster, and it's me with pants hiked up to my neck and a Donald Trump mask on, and that's what the patriarchy looks like.
Does every man have a whip?
That's great.
Yeah, and when you Google the patriarchy on Google, my video is like one of the first things that pops up. So if people are actually trying to research the patriarchy, they're going to see that video. I think that's so funny.
That was one of my favorite things to film.
And that's brilliant. And Lacey Green's another one who initially I watched her videos when I got into atheism. Like I kind of thought she was on the atheism circuit, but she was more in like the sex ed.
Well,
then went kind of hardcore feminist, and now has done a complete like 180. She's moved to the center, and she wants to have these discussions. In the vitriol that Lacey was getting, I've seen, the Steve Shives video about her. Oh my God, I'm like, God, take it. It's Lacey Green. She's so sweet and nice. Like even when she was spouting the feminist stuff, I'm like, I couldn't hate her. Like it was just mad. Like she's so naive to think she could reach out to these people. They're disgusting. And I thought, ouch. Okay, you're really in a bubble, man. But what Lacey Green's doing, I think, is awesome. And did you get to meet her too?
Oh, yeah. We hung out with her a few times at VidCon. Lacey's story is interesting. She did start off technically as an atheist. I remember she was known as the most popular atheist channel because she was the first person that outwardly called themselves an atheist that hit 1 million subscribers.
But she also used to be a Mormon, right?
Yeah, so that's what happened is she came out of Mormonism, which is as much of a cult as any Christian religion has ever been. And she had a lot of really interesting stuff. The reason she went into the sex positivity is because sex negativity is definitely the doctrine of her old church. So she was kind of coming out of it. And I mean, you could argue she did an overcorrection or whatever. Her videos were fine overall. I can see there were some good points made about why her audience is upset that she has made this change. And some of those points make a lot of sense. Like, for example, Lacey used to just be entirely open and accepting of people who were, say, non-binary gender. And she's just like, if you're non-binary, cool, no big deal. And that was usually the extent of her discussion on the subject. So she made it feel like, if you will, a safe space for these people. And now she is debating people like us who ask questions about gender identity and stuff. And I can see an audience member of hers who thought that it was a safe space on her channel where their gender identity would never be questioned. It's now going to be under the microscope. That's the very nature of the new debate that she has entered. But that being said, that doesn't excuse half the stuff that like Steve Shives and Kat Black and like so many other people said about her.
These terrible things they're saying about her, and then also she's now dating one of our friends, Chris Reagan. And he's an anti-SJW person, too. Like, they're just, like, not even debating or criticizing her points anymore. They're like, oh, she's dating another one of those Nazis. She's a terrible person. And they're just ostracizing her. And they're like, shame, shame, shame. And it's just obnoxious and terrible. And, the tribalism from that whole... They're very, very religious. It's another connection.
It reminds me of like a Catholic in the 1930s, a Catholic person saying, don't you go out with that Jewish guy. Don't you dare. You got to marry a good Catholic boy or something. Like, oh my God, that would be kind of outrageous to say nowadays and deserve a certain amount of criticism.
It's funny that they're like going back into like Chris's Twitter history and like searching up keywords like feminism and Islam, and they're trying to like cherry pick negative things that he said about these things, and they're showing their audience like, look at the person she's dating. It's so cringeworthy. It's like they're reaching so hard to make her look like a bad person.
Right. That's good science, right? You have your conclusion ready, and let's find the data for it. That's science.
I think it's interesting that there's a flip in society almost where, like, take for example, so Jews are losing their victim status. From what it was to now, where we had this Chicago gay pride thing.
Did you hear about that?
Well, I don't know if it
at
was
the Chicago gay pride parade march just recently. People that had been going there for years, gay Jewish women who have a pride flag, the rainbow flag with the Star of David.
Right.
And they were told that they cannot have that flag there because this gay march is pro-Palestinian.
No, well, it wasn't that it was making people upset, or it was inciting conflict, or some ridiculous thing like that. And the insane thing is that Jews in this country have been, for the most part, left-leaning. And so I see, if this boomerang keeps going, I mean, I see that flipping very quickly, especially if society keeps taking on, the regressive values where, oh wait, these guys are oppressors now. So we've totally turned on one group of people. Who are they gonna turn on next?
Well, Israel's the only country in the Middle East that allows gays to live without going to jail or getting a fine.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up this new push to kind of demonize Israel, or not new push so much to demonize Israel.
New push. It's always been.
No. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's more just this. There's this new attitude towards Judaism in general in the West, where it's sort of being pushed right back into that actually oppressed group status
right,
that it used to be in back in the day. And a lot of that, it seems to be a result of the now pro-Muslim, pro-Islam kind of narrative that is being pushed in the West. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of nuance to that. There's not everybody that's trying to push for equality for Muslims and Islamic people in the West are actually contributing to this. But just the very concept of the Star of David being shown as being some sort of an affront to Muslim people that must be removed. I don't know how anybody could not see that as just a huge insult to Judaism.
Absolutely.
Not even, I mean, freedom of speech. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, freedom of speech, obviously, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. I can't. I thought I had another example off the top of my head, but it is happening more often now, and obviously, there's a lot more anti-Israel stuff for sure, but I don't know. I think that if no, that's okay. Just edit that out.
No, that's fine. There are so many. I don't know if you guys heard, but Ian Halperin's making a documentary about Roger Waters, the bassist from Pink Floyd.
Yeah. So
I've known this for years because I follow anti-Semites. Pink Floyd, hugely anti-Semitic. And finally, so he's making a documentary saying "Wish You Weren't Here," which is First of all, title amazing, and it's all about the fact that this guy's been anti for a while, and these guys are kind of more coming out of the woodwork. But now it's being culturally more accepted, which is very scary.
I know, something to think about before you drop your acid and watch that laser light show, right? I mean, these a little shady.
It's you bring up the gay pride thing and all these new rules. Did you see that? Black Lives Matter keeps interrupting the gay pride parade.
Yes. What? In Canada that happened, right? In Toronto?
It happened last year. Last year it happened in Toronto, but this year it happened, I think, at an American pride event.
And they basically just stopped the parade from happening, and then I was like, I hope the LGBT community doesn't bend over for these people. This is ridiculous.
Wait. But it's so interesting. It's social warrior against social warrior. What's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, it's not even, though. The LGBT community is not uniformly social justice.
Yeah,
warrior.
A lot of people aren't. Who I'm part of it technically.
Oh yeah,
I'm
you
not
are.
Social justice warrior, and because you're born LGBT. You're not born Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And that's an ideology.
That's very true.
LGBT isn't. So it's not really social justice against a social justice warrior, but it is oppression Olympics. And I was hoping that the LGBT community wouldn't bend over backwards for these people. And they did. They added a black and a brown stripe. I think it was only to one city's flag.
I think that was Philadelphia.
I just thought it was very fun.
Is that why they were stopping the parade? Because there was no black stripe?
Well, no. What the argument was when they stopped the parade, they basically hijacked it and with a megaphone made demands and said they wouldn't leave until these demands were met. So they had demands for more inclusion of black people and people of color in these events, which doesn't really make any sense. And yeah, the way Philadelphia went about it is literally adding black and brown stripes to the rainbow flag, which implied that the rainbow flag only represented white people before that. That doesn't make any sense. But the point is that the Black Lives Matter didn't see the LGBT as an oppressed group, which, you know what you got to say is, if somebody is oppressing the LGBT pride parade saying that they are more oppressed, then you know what? Congratulations, LGBT, you made it. You're now normal people like the rest of us. And now
you're privileged.
You know, it sounds
you're now privileged like the rest of us. You're that well accepted in the Western world that people are now protesting you.
It's like a game of euchre. And it's like you trump the ace with like the 10 and somebody just pounds the right bower down. They're like, oh, I win. You know,
there's been some push from like the feminist sphere. They're now like saying gay men are privileged.
What?
Gay white men are privileged.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's, oh my God.
You know, in white feminists too. I heard that about Lacey Green. Oh,
Yep.
it's those white feminists. And I'm like, oh my God.
Do you know what that was?
It's so crazy.
Okay. So what happened was Lacey Green still identifies as a feminist, but they need some way to dismiss her. So they've invented this new thing, white feminism.
Oh, it's not even new. Like,
well, I mean, it's not okay. They haven't invented it, but it was just this convenient label they were able to slide her into
out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
White
Oh no,
feminism.
she's a white feminist. So all of a sudden, all across Twitter, even people I considered friends, like it made me feel so bad for Lacey. They're all doing this hashtag bye bye white feminism or something like that, and it was entirely just a campaign to dismiss Lacey.
So Lacey Green is now Christina Hoff Sommers. They're the same person.
Yep.
Wow.
That's a good way of putting it. Well, I mean, Christina's definitely way more conservative, but yeah, basically the same principle, yes, has applied.
Obviously, they're very different people. Yeah, that seems like just a horrible lack of nuance. You know, it's, you know what the thing is, that some of the times when I do it, and I've been trying to like reach out or to listen more to the other side, and I do this. I've been doing a little bit more since, you know, I ever watched your VidCon videos and listen more to Cat Black and some stuff. But the one of the points I think feminism like has is there, you know, some people don't understand consent well, right? And that there's some date rape going on. There's some other things going on. But the way they teach it, that man, like you're a potential rapist to any dude and you're a potential victim, this is condescending, it's fear-mongering. Like, let's talk about consent in the right way. And it involves both men and women, not just dudes.
What,
I feel like the mandatory consent classes for men.
Who's seen that the South Park episode where he's like, who's the coach? He's getting consent forms. He's like, you guys got your consent forms? Everyone got their consent forms?
The PC principle.
PC principle.
Me and Greg did the consent form joke in a video before the South Park episode.
Yeah, there were actually a couple jokes that June and I came up with that South Park.
Everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, there were quite a few
Really?
people, yeah. But yeah,
They didn't steal it, obviously, but like all the jokes that me, Sargon, TJ, like of the Amazing Atheist, all these people have been making since 2014. Suddenly, South Park is making the same jokes, and it's really funny. Like they're finally on the train of social justice is actually kind of ridiculous.
By the way,
making fun of it.
When you started that sentence, I thought you were going to say, I had Greg sign a consent form.
No. There's no consent forms here.
I mean, what do you do? Do you put that up on the
be?
bedroom ceiling or something? Like where?
No.
Where do you keep the form?
It's a sign-in when you enter.
But where do you keep it? What's the record retention policy on that?
Well, the problem is with the consent thing, though, is that even after you've signed the contract, right, you're still allowed to say no after that. So what?
No, you've signed. That's it.
You've only just overcomplicated the issue now.
Okay, but what if you're both hammered? Did you rape each other? Like, no consent when you're hammered, right?
That's one of those debate topics we've been arguing about for like 8 years now.
That's a debate that made a bunch of feminists or atheism plus people dox Greg back.
That's how you got doxxed? It was drunk?
Well, yeah, the first time around, I oversold the story the first time I told it because I was I created the Armored Skeptic as a character. I mean, he's still a character, obviously. Like, he flies a spaceship and he talks to two minions. He's not me. He is a character, obviously. But this happened to a few people, and it happened around the same time, right around the time that Thunderfoot had his rage quit of Atheism Plus. And yeah, so the debate was about consent, and the people kept saying, like, I didn't know what feminists were back then, so I didn't know who was and wasn't a social justice warrior. I was just seeing this pattern of people getting shut down for having the wrong opinion, and it seemed like very specific opinions were being treated like slander, like they were treated like bigotry,
blasphemy,
racism, blasphemy, if you will. And so I was married at the time, and we were talking about having sex while drunk, and every single scenario where the woman was drunk, it was seen as rape, and we couldn't get anybody who was playing that narrative to admit that, you know, it goes both ways. What if the man is drunk and he didn't want to? And they would never answer those questions. They'd always dodge it by saying, you know, this isn't about men, this is about women, things like that. And you know, just wanted simple answers. And I just described, like, you know, I've been mutually drunk and had sex, and that snowballed into an argument about whether or not I'm a rapist, and eventually word got into my real life somehow that people were asking me about this rapist thing, and nobody really took it seriously. But that was just it was scary. It was scary that, you know, my information somehow got out, and people in my real life were somehow told about this, and that was kind of my wake-up call. That was my Tumblr moment that June had, where I was noticing that something was very wrong was happening in the debate sphere.
When you're doxxed, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Is that where you got your catchphrase? Right there, that moment. Dear God.
Dear God. Yeah, sure, why not?
We've been saying it a ton. Dimitri's got a pretty good one, you know.
Dear God. I'm not.
We got to hear you say it now.
I'm not as good as Greg.
Dear God.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Nice. Although June, you've got one. Well, we think you have one. Do you know what your catchphrase is?
Catchphrases, June?
Do I have a catch?
Here's what I think.
Hold on, no. Let's see if June knows her catchphrase.
All right.
Wait, I don't know. Wait, what is my catchphrase?
What do you say more often than not in most videos?
This is Brian's unscientific recording. This is my data that will be unpublished.
Wait, my screeching?
No.
Yeah, she does do the screech a lot.
That's true.
But I think it's like, oh shit, son. I love that when you say it.
It is 100% oh shit, son.
Shit, son.
And now you're gonna
and
pay
then the
attention,
music starts playing,
and you're gonna have to put it in every video from now on.
I'll do it in my next video. I'll say, "Oh shit, son."
No, exactly. So
saying that.
Oh, so many times.
Oh yeah, in the two genders video, that was the first one I had Dimitri. I'm like, you gotta watch Shoe0nHead. And he was laughing his ass off. That's just brilliant.
That's how I got into it. By the way, June, I don't know if you know, but in YouTube you can no longer search for that video. They've somehow. Oh, you delisted it?
Yeah, because I'm done with the gender debate. I don't want to even get into it. Like, I feel like
so good.
Yeah, I'm like not interested in it, and I'm like, okay, you want to call yourself this? That's fine, whatever. You know, like, I don't even want to debate it anymore. I'm burnt out from it already. I just jumped into it, and I was like, you know what? I don't really know what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to talk about it. And then, so, like, I'm sticking to things that I know.
Well, like blasting.
The whole gender thing is just something I don't want to get into, so I just kind of wanted that video just to be unlisted. People can still find it in like playlists and stuff.
You can find it on Google, regular Google.
Yeah.
Well, we just like your singing at the end. You know, where you're singing a little bit of Queen.
I knew that video would get demonetized because of that, and I didn't care. I was like, I need the song in there.
That's so good. So now you're just your full-time thing is just blasting Anita Sarkeesian, right?
Well, yeah, I have actually only made one video about Anita, surprisingly.
Oh, it's
Right.
more to come, I'm sure.
I don't know if she says stuff that ridiculous. Yes, maybe, but I want to start to get into like other stuff. I'm still really passionate about the whole feminism thing. People are like, I'm bored of this, but I'm still like, there's things that still like bother me, and it's growing tremendously every day. Again, I get messages from kids in high school and college who are like, thank God I found you, like blah blah blah, like, and it's still like I'm very motivated to make stuff like this, but I still want to I want to find some funny conservative videos. I want to do some like kind of what Skeptic does, maybe find some like ridiculous flat earth thing that I can make fun of.
You know,
and I also want to do things that aren't that. I want to rant about like other things, like just normal type vloggy things, because my last video was basically a movie review of a 90s movie, and it was...
Wait, which one?
People liked it. They were like, oh wow, this was really like... They liked it. They were like, oh, this is a good change.
Which movie?
The Brave Little Toaster.
What? Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yes.
It's a kids movie, but it's like really creepy and deep. So
it's got a very similar premise to Toy Story, but instead of toys, it's appliances, and it's horrifying.
So yeah, I did that video and people really liked it. So I want to start to like, branch out more, but not the gender thing, because I feel like that's a debate that's too... People are invested, they're heated about that, and I'm coming in there like, hey guys, there's only 2 genders, and they're like, yeah, but the DSM-5 and like blah 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 puts this, and like, there's the whole, there's intersex, there's blah blah, and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna like stand back for a little while, absorb things, learn things, and then maybe jump back into it.
With popular topics, we notice neither of you do Trump bashing, which is incredibly low-hanging fruit from a like shit that he says standpoint.
No, in fact, because we didn't Trump bash, we got accused of being Trump supporters.
Ooh, all right.
But June's video of this post-election, I thought was absolutely fair. It was all these stories on the left where she's like, everyone's 8-year-olds got hot takes on politics, right? And then she knocks down up like the left, these fake news on the left. Then she gets like, she goes, don't worry, like conservatives, you guys don't even know how to like do Google searches, because theirs were like even worse. They're fake news.
Yeah, theirs was embarrassing. So yeah, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to be like, hey guys, both sides are dumb. But like, but the thing with me is like, I grew up liberal. I'm liberal, I think. I don't even know. I consider myself liberal. So, when I see conservative things, I'm automatically like, oh, okay, I disagree with that. And that's it. It's like, that's not something I believe. Of course it's not, because they're conservative. So, we're two sides, they're different sides. Like, of course I disagree with that. So it's not fun to me to just be like, hey, this is like, hey, Trump, I disagree with your healthcare thing. Like, I can't make that funny. It's just like, oh, I don't like this. Yeah. But with like the left being ridiculous, I feel like I almost have to like damage control, and it's funner to me to like make fun of what I consider my own side and like, look how ridiculous this is, what are you guys doing, you're doing this wrong. And like with conservatives, it's almost like I can't get into their mindset about some issues, and to me it's just that I don't think that's right.
It's a pretty simple formula, in fact. So as YouTubers, as professional YouTubers, we both have to keep in mind that our videos have to be entertaining. And it's easier to make a video entertaining if you yourself are entertained by the subject matter.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not entertained by, like, Trump.
I'm not entertained by the alt-right.
Are you not entertained?
I mean, there's certain stuff that happens that I can rant about from time to time. But for the most part, it's way easier to make an entertaining video dissecting something that
you're passionate
about. I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about, I too am a liberal. I was raised with the concept of, universal freedoms and being pro-immigration, pro-LGBT, all those things. And I feel very insulted when I get lumped in with conservatives, because I am a critic of feminism. I'm a critic of, modern social justice. And I don't like to say that I'm anti-feminism or anti-SJW, because social justice is a good thing.
SJW is like an attitude.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, social justice is a good thing. Social justice is something that liberals are supposed to want. But the thing is that social justice is also, being used in a nefarious way. And it's not like social justice warriors. You're right. Social justice warriors are not social justice. That's a very different.
So then the real question is, Greg, from you being from Canada, June from the U.S., when are we going to finally see a versus video? Whose SJWs are better?
Better?
Yes. And by better, I mean worse or better.
I don't know. They're pretty bad here, but lately they've been hijacking universities in the United States. So I think the Americans have the lead right now. There was some pretty crazy stuff that was happening at U of T during the Bill C-16 thing. Jordan B. Peterson was certainly a lightning rod for a lot of hate there, but there were some very interesting demonstrations. Toronto and a lot of the big cities, the university campuses, they're losing free speech more and more. There was this huge big debate about, I can't remember how long ago, a few months back now, where there was a lot of these, women groups, and they wanted to make a men's group in the university, and the university refused to let them do it, and there was no legitimate reason for it. And the funny thing is, the men's group is comprised mostly of women, but that didn't seem to matter.
Jeez.
Here you go.
I think I watched that debate that Jordan was in, and I think they were in with one of the attorneys from the organization FIRE, and they document a lot of the college free speech codes. And I looked on their website, and 75% of universities have at least one minor violation, and at least a third have major violations of free speech codes, and I think that's in North America.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
There's a little leeway they give universities because a lot of them are technically private organizations. But here in Canada, most of them are supplemented through government funding. And the attitude we have towards churches here is that if they have, non-tax status, if they're, have a religious status, then they're not allowed to make statements about political things leaning, in one particular direction, because then every single church would just say, vote for whatever conservative you have. And that's not fair for an organization that either doesn't pay taxes or receives government supplements for them to make those kinds of statements. And unfortunately, though, there doesn't seem to be that kind of there's no safety system there to make sure that kind of stuff isn't pushed in universities. And I mean, obviously it always has. When modernism was the attitude, when modernism was, the philosophical paradigm of the time, university professors were teaching things through a modernist lens. And it makes sense now that, we're now in the postmodernist era, and there'd be university teachers that teach through a postmodernist lens.
He's working on a video about postmodernism.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's why I keep
That's why I keep bringing it up, is because that's what I'm currently been thinking about all week.
And are you collaborating with Peter Boghossian on this?
No, I probably shouldn't be talking about it that much. But that's sort of just the way I'm looking at it right now from that perspective. So like in a week from now, if you had asked me these same questions, I probably wouldn't have even brought up postmodernism.
What is a feminist lens, though? If I'm reading like a white journal paper, right, in a critical thing about medicine or physics or whatever, how do I look at the data in a feminist lens? It's one lens. It's data.
Does the data
can't be too Asian or too white?
Does the data have a penis?
So like
look at it through the ideology.
Ask yourself.
Right. So like look at it from the top down. At the top, men and the patriarchy control everything. So everything that happens is a result of that.
Guys, did you know there's a higher form of the patriarchy? It's called the kyriarchy.
Oh,
what?
Yeah.
The what?
Who is that?
It's like the evolution of the patriarchy. And it's a more powerful patriarchy. This is real. You can Google it. It's called the kyriarchy, I think.
Dear God.
Dear God.
Yes. The feminist lens also includes like a new class system, and instead of the class system being based on what social status you have, your class is now based on what color of skin you have and what what you like to put your dick in, and that's
Yes.
that's it, right? So
What if I love
What if it's
pies?
apple pie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Both of us went to pies.
that's beautiful. You both thought of pie.
Mine's
shit.
cherry, yours is apple.
It was an embarrassing day. I don't want to relive it. Don't trigger me.
It's got to be lukewarm.
Well, I guess I'm going to need a new statistics class for this feminist lens. So when you're done with that, Greg, maybe you can coach me.
Yeah, for sure.
You, by the way, one of the last things here, you mentioned content a little earlier, and we kind of wanted to plug your Patreons here since we've got you on.
Yeah.
And can you give folks who maybe don't know a sneak peek into your monthly hangout parties? What is it like?
For a $5 subscription or gift or whatever, yeah,
you guys eating pie, cosplay.
Yeah, what's going on behind the curtain?
Like every month, I have to do mine soon. Actually, I'll probably do it this week.
Yeah, we're both overdue for ours this month.
Every month we do a hangout where we get a whole bunch of people onto a Google Hangout and we just talk and hang out and laugh, and it's really funny. Like, we discuss things, we debate things, we like make fun of each other. There's like a little almost community that grows inside the Patreon thing, and we all have like inside jokes, and it's always fun when like a new person's in there because we all become like close, and then a new person comes in and like we kind of like get them used to all the jokes and everything. It's like really cute, fun. That's mine at least. Skeptics is more like deep. They get into like serious debates.
Yeah, we get into philosophical debates and political debates, and
then you come to mine and it's just like shit posting.
Yeah, just screeching and yelling about memes.
That's brilliant. How many people join about on average? Or
so the room can hold like 10 people. I think.
The room usually gets filled every time.
And then the room can hold 10 people, so we're gonna have to. I think we're gonna move it to Discord soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also people in the chat. They can watch it and like chat, and I'm usually hanging out in the chat, like typing to them with them. And if someone's not talking on the mic, then they have to leave to make room for someone who wants to talk on the mic.
Okay.
So there's like. It's kind of confusing now because in the beginning when I didn't have a lot of Patreon people, like patrons, is that what they're called?
Patrons,
it was easier because then the room would only be filled with like 6 people. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, shit, I gotta find something else to do. Like, we need to do like a Discord chat or something fun that everybody can join. So we're gonna be moving to that probably starting this week. I'm gonna try to set it up. But
cool.
Hey, that's a good thing.
That sounds fun. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Anybody listening, if you want some deep philosophical debates where you really get your mind going and really interesting stuff,
don't come to my
go to Skeptic. If you want nonsense and just shit, then come to mine.
Well, our Patreon hangouts are always equally fun, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah. Totally fair. And then speaking of social media, then June, is your name Julio now?
Oh, okay. There's a background story to that. So I was debating some trans issues, and I was obviously pro. And a conservative came out of nowhere, an alt-right type guy, and he's like, he assumed for some reason that I was trans.
Okay.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, Julio?" And he's like, "Yeah, Julio, you'll always be a man, and so will Blair. Blair White, I don't know."
Yeah, we know Blair.
Like, get used to it, you alt-light degenerate.
Alt-light?
Alt-light. Wow. It's like, I'm not even right-wing. Why would I be alt-anything, alt-whatever?
And the R
alt-light.
is definitely not by the L on your keyboard, so that's not a typo.
Alt-light. And, like, degenerate. I don't even see that as an insult, but that's apparently an insult.
Right.
But I thought that was funny. It was like, Julio. So now I changed my name to Julio because clearly I'm trans. It's canon now.
That's beautiful. And you're making videos, and the B is right by the V. So was that a typo?
Videos?
Yeah, it says Shoe0nHead is making videos.
It was originally a typo, and then I rolled with it because everybody liked it. So now everyone's like, "Oh, when are you making a new video?" Like, a video is just a thing.
If it works, it works.
It's a meme.
So we wanted to kind of wrap things up today with something new that we may have as a recurring thing on the show.
Yeah,
and that
you're
is
a test subject.
You are our test subjects, and that is a rapid fire question round.
Oh God.
My God. Okay.
I'm
Yes.
scared. Wait, no, this is flaring up up my anxiety.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what we're gonna want? Some are gonna go specifically to Armored, some specifically
God,
to
okay.
Shoe.
No, we're it's going one and then the other, so
Right.
that we're interchanging these.
Okay.
All right. Armored's up first. Ready?
Go.
Go. What would you say to Steve Shives if you got stuck with him in an elevator?
Do you want a hug?
June, what is your favorite absurd identity label?
Oh no, wait, I'm put on the spot. My absurd identity label. Fuck. Oh, this is hard. Wait, there's so many. Wait, hold on.
Just say one.
We're gonna need an answer.
I don't know. Wait, what's an absurd label?
You can tweet it. We'll give you. You
This is
can fire it
perfect.
out on Twitter later.
It's gonna be your next.
Okay,
tweet.
okay.
All right,
My
she's
absurd-
gonna hold on that one. It's going to in the account. Go ahead, Dimitri.
Armored, pay God Zikoto, aka Black Hitler reparations, or find out you're Steve Bannon's love child.
Oh man. I guess I'd never have to meet Steve Bannon. So I'll go with that.
Okay. All right, June. Who would you rather bunny sit Ollie? Anita Sarkeesian or Ann Coulter?
Oh my god. Ann Coulter, maybe. Yeah, Ann Coulter. I'll go with her.
She would.
I mean,
eat
Ollie
him.
will come back extremely red pilled. But I think I would trust. I think I'd trust her a little more than Anita. Anita
and hating
would probably
minorities.
castrate Ollie or something. I don't know. What.
Armored, night out on the town, non-binary genderqueer poetry slam, or Can Ham lectured entitled "Noah is Real."
Oh, I think I'd get more laughs out of the Ken Ham lecture.
We've been to one of those. Okay, June. What is your favorite microaggression?
My favorite microaggression. Oh fuck! You guys give me the hard one.
I know you're getting the open-ended
The
ones.
funny one was easy. I guess like I've heard when like white people eat foreign food.
Oh yes.
Oh, sushi at
It's a
Oberlin.
micro like aggression. It's a
Tacos,
what is
tacos.
it called? Cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
A micro cultural appropriation. I thought that was funny. I've heard that before.
Okay, no sushi. Okay, got it.
Yeah, no sushi.
Oh, I love sushi.
You can't have it. You're white. Armored, what term
Yeah.
is more obnoxious? Woke, cuck, or libtard?
Woke is so obnoxious.
I would never have pegged you to pick that.
So sick of woke.
Okay, June. Superpower of choice if you get one.
Okay. Flying, definitely.
Oh man.
Flying because I'm a lucid dreamer, so like I constantly fly in my dreams, and it would be sick if I could fly in real life. I think that'd be neat.
We'll take it.
All right.
Go.
And finally, Armored, Lord of the Rings. Who's your guy?
Oh, Aragorn for sure.
Mm-hmm. You're one of those. So judging you
And
right
June, we don't have a fifth for you. Sorry, the patriarchy.
I got my answer though. A fattest. I've heard it before. It's a social justice type of person that is like pro-fat, and they like want
What
to
the
like liberate.
What in the
fatness.
hell is happening?
Identity label fattest. A
heard it
fattest.
before.
All right.
It's both sad and funny at the same time. Thank you both for participating in a rapid fire question round. You both win a cookie.
Excellent.
Yay.
Collect it when you get to Milwaukee on September 30th.
Yeah, better be sitting at our panel table when we get there.
If it's not, I'm going to be very sad.
Yes. Oh, and then I guess last thing is June. I believe you have a ticket drawing that you need to do.
Yeah. There was
For-
somebody. What?
I did it already, and I got the
Oh, you already
winners.
did it. Yes. Perfect.
We are not in the
Yeah.
know.
We're not in
Yeah,
the know.
so Two winners have been selected. They're actually somewhat local to Milwaukee.
Yeah. So
Oh,
this
shoot,
was funny.
really?
I was like doing the my YouTube comments. There's a website where you can it's like a randomly generated thing, and you go through the comments. And the two people that it landed on were literally like, one guy was a little bit outside of the state, and then one person lives like near it. I was
Really?
like, oh wow, that's perfect.
We were hoping
Perfect.
people would come from Canada.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
hey,
just
we
me.
had 5 people last time come from Canada. One guy showed up from London. I met 5 people from Canada last time.
Well, we want to get diversity up in this B, so
We are.
are
So
diverse.
we're really excited again. So if those of you want to come to the MythCon to meet June and Greg, I definitely encourage you to come. It's going to be a blast. September 30th, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Get your tickets at Mythicist Milwaukee. Also, Melissa Chen, Sargon of Akkad will be there in a conversation/debate with Thomas Smith. Faisal Al-Matar will be...
but more debate.
Yeah, more debate. We'll be debating Azra Namani about Islam, the role of atheism versus reform. That's going to be good. And Batman and Jesus, our movie, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Juxtapose, what do we know about our religions? What if there was a church in the 2,000 years in the future worshiping the comics of Batman? Is Jesus, in fact, an ancient comic book superhero? It's a comedy. It's a documentary. That's just a bit of a teaser. It's going to be the MythCon ticket will get you into there, and it's going to be debut. It's going to be absolutely excellent. So we're really looking forward to meeting you and your talk. And this has really just been a blast. It's been just a pleasure talking with you both.
Yeah, and everyone go to their channels. Armored Skeptic, Shoe0nHead, freaking awesome.
And Shoe0nHead, Armored Gregory, and I think Armored Media. Those are the sub
got
channels.
4 channels.
No, 4chan. Don't say that, right? No, God.
4chan.
Right. Oops.
Oh, lovely, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been a blast. We're looking forward to meeting you at Mythicist.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Myth Informed. Myth Informed is brought to you by Mythicist Milwaukee. Producer Sean Frasick, associate producers Fritz Blondone and Kristen Whitaker Hood, engineer Josh Benishek, technical consultant Jason Lawson, and hosts Brian, Dimitri, Jacob, and Joseph. Every week we produce a new podcast that sheds light on religion, secularism, and mythology. If you enjoy this show, please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/mythicist. Mythicist Milwaukee also brings major secular conferences and debates to the Milwaukee area, along with community events, both local and online. To support us in bringing future events, become a member at mythicistmilwaukee.com to receive member-only benefits. You can also visit mythicistmilwaukee.com and hit the donate button located at the bottom of each page to place a financial donation amount of your choice. And now, the closing theme, written and performed by Shelley Siegel.
There was a time when everyone believed Helios in the sun, Poseidon in the sea, Athena's wisdom and beauty, and Hades underneath, Isis of fertility, and ether of the Greeks. They all lie at rest, and who will be the next to die? You know they are all myths, and who will be the next to die? There was a time when everyone believed Helios in the sun, Poseidon in the sea, Athena's wisdom and beauty, and Hades underneath, Isis of fertility, and ether the Greeks. They all lie at rest, and who will be the next to die? You know they are all myths, and who will be the next?